Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. Albert Einstein. My friends, we try to design systems so many times that are so complicated that are supposed to take into account every single variable. We run up against Occam's razor, which is basically, by razor, that means principle, Occam's principle. And what John of Occam, a Franciscan friar back in England sometime, I think in the Middle Ages, he came up with this postulation that we can make things more complicated and cause more problems. And the more simple something is, the more likely it is to work. It doesn't mean it'll take into account every single possibility, but what it will allow us to do is have something that works. Is it perfect? No. Is our system for charting the markets perfect? Absolutely not. It couldn't possibly be perfect because there are millions of people and billions of transactions that are involved in the marketplace every day, and everything impacts everything else. So we can never have a perfect system. But Einstein tells us that we need to make it simple. We don't need to try to design everything into it. There's another quote by Einstein that I love, and it's make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. Because if you make it too simple, it just won't work. So we make it simple, but not too simple. So anyway, that's the introduction for today. Let's jump into these charts. We see everything up for the day except gold. Let's jump first into the S&P 500. We can see in the morning where things were just sort of spinning around, not bounding down up a little bit, but then it popped up in the afternoon. That was good to see. We're above the 200E exponential moving average, this golden line, which tells us if we're above, we're looking to go long because the market's in an uptrend. If we're below, it's in a downtrend overall. So we're in an uptrend right now. We're still red on our STC. That is our prime indicator. Now, those who don't know what that's about need to take some of our training so you understand it is a combination of stochastics and the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence indicator. It gives us a lot of helpful information without making things too complicated. Where are we on the 2-day chart? 2-day chart is still green on the STC. It has moved below the 200 EMA, but again, it's up some as to where it was last week. We've pierced the 200 EMA, at least with the upper movement. Indecision here, tending down according to our Heikin-Ashi candlesticks because of this spinning top. Spinning tops always mean indecision. But we are green on the STC. That's a go. That's +5. And of course, we're still green, +4 on our success multiplier formula. We are green on the STC on the weekly, but we have a red spinning top starting things off. And as we tighten that up, you can see we're above the 200 EMA. So again, got some mixed signals there. What are we basically waiting to see happen? Well, we want to see if things work out for us on the 195-minute chart at some point, going from red to green. We're below this sort of gray band with these two bars above and below. We've readjusted down below it, so we're waiting for things to go green. If they do, and give us a possibility of jumping into an up trade, because our STCs on those two bigger time frames, the 2-day and the weekly, are going up, means we're at a +14. That's 4 points for the 2-day that's green on the STC, 10 points for the weekly. Now, why is the weekly 10 and the 2-day is 4? Because we're using, to start this whole thing, the 195-minute or half-day chart. It is a one-pointer. So the 2-day chart is what? 4 times the size of the half-day. And the weekly is 10 times the size of the half-day. That's why we assign those points. So when we say it's a +14, that tells us that, again, we have a green STC on those two bigger charts, the intermediate and the long term, that is the 2-day and the weekly respectively. Now, let's move on to the Qs. Where are we on the NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks? Well, we're below the 200 EMA, so even if it goes to green, unless it pierces this 200 EMA exponential moving average, the golden line, we won't be looking to go long. That could happen though, so we'll keep that in mind. It was up 1.26% for the day. Where are we on the 2-day chart? Well, we're below the 200 EMA on that. It's green though on the STC. But again, that is a potential problem. Now on the weekly, we are above the 200 EMA, green there too. So again, we're going to have to see some really strong up movement to even give us the opportunity to go long. And even if we do, we have that 2-day chart not working with us because it's in a downtrend. So again, not going to stop us from practice trading that, but is going to give us some caution entering to that trade if we have a strong up move. So what do we see as we go to bonds? Well, bonds, of course, peaked here recently, and over the last 2 days, they are showing some red down candles for the day. Overall, up 0.32%. Now remember, S&P 500 up 1.44%. NASDAQ 100 up 1.26%. 20-year bonds up 0.32%. We can see we had some down movement in the afternoon. We see that the STC is red, and it has moved below that gray zone, which could be resetting for us potentially because we're above the 200 EMA on this half-day chart. Where are we on the 2-day? Well, we look at the 2-day and you can see as I pull it down, we're still a long way down below the 200 EMA. We are green on the STC. What about the weekly? Well, on our weekly chart, we're likewise well below the 200 EMA. We've had a few weeks of up movement. We are green on the STC. So again, we are potentially resetting. Could it offer us an opportunity to jump in? Well, you'd be betting against those bigger charts as in regards to where they are on this 200 EMA. So puts you in a bit of a dilemma there. And of course, that trigger has not been pulled yet. I won't hesitate to encourage you to practice trade it, see what you learn going against those two other charts. Now, what you many times will learn is that if you have truly called a short-term bottom and things start to revert and head back up again, it might do okay for you. And we'll talk about that if indeed that does occur and see what it is we learn from that. Let's go on to gold. Gold, our big downer for the day, 0.83%. Now gold, we tried to jump into that last up move on gold and it did not go our way. It popped up to right there where we had set our buy-in level and then moved back down through it. Is it resetting? It looked like it could possibly be, and then of course it's rolled back over again. But the good news is we're at the bottom on the STC. Maybe we'll be getting ready to reset and give us the possibility of jumping in. We see on the 2-day that we have pushed through the 200 EMA and we're green on the STC. That's good to see. On the weekly, we're well above the 200 EMA and we're green on the STC at the bottom of the screen, so that's good to see. This week is starting off weaker than these two prior weeks. We haven't hit any higher high or even close to those highs yet, but we'll see how things go. If things rebound and turn around and we see the market start to boom up and the red STC on the half-day chart go to green, I'll feel very good about pulling the trigger on another potential up move on gold. We'll wait and see if we get a practice trade this week. Now, let's look at where we are on Bitcoin. Up for the day, 0.23%, okay? Not much for Bitcoin. We can see on this half-day chart where that most recent crash happened and how things have started to tick up. We're nowhere near where we were, just a few days ago when things were up around that, $20.50 mark. And And of course, we had that down crash down into the $15 range. Now we are up around $17 and something on XBTF, which is the short-term closed month Bitcoin future. And again, we'll continue to watch, wait and see. It's nice to see it, moving up some. But again, not a lot for the day. And we've seen where over the last few days, we've topped out there about the 1730 mark or so. So we'll continue to watch, wait and see. We're particularly paying attention to the biggest chart, but we also see on the 2-day chart, it has been moving up some. And again, it topped out on that first green candle around the 1712 mark and around that today. So not like it's zooming up, flying out of control. And of course, with all the uncertainty in Bitcoin, I'm sure you've got a lot of speculating going on, but not set any kind of good bottom for us yet. We look at where things are over these last, 6 going into the 6th week. We look back where things just hammered down on that week beginning the 7th of November, followed by those next 2 weeks, bottomed out at that point. Where are we going to settle out here? We don't know. But when we start seeing a consolidation, nice up moves in Bitcoin, giving us a nice bottom where we might move up from, we'll let you know. Has market capitulation occurred yet? I don't think so. So probably still a bit of a rough ride yet to come on Bitcoin. As you guys know, we do our charting crypto and commodities every Wednesday. That'll be coming out early on Wednesday for our Patreon members, and then we release it on Friday. If you didn't get last week's, please make sure to check it out. It is at our YouTube site. That is where we are, folks. Appreciate all our Patreon supporters. Appreciate all of you. If you appreciate what we're doing, consider supporting us on Patreon. First thing you get is our 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. If you're interested in options, you will love it. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.